Welcome to grayhairlady.com. This is a place where people of all ages can go to watch some interesting points of view. 50 is the new 40 of this generation. As the baby boomers are aging, we're not looking or acting like our parents did. This is a place where you can watch live and recorded shows about staying positive about aging. Looking back, we have seen it all, from the 50s to today, the stories we have to tell. This is our story of a generation that has changed the world. Some will say we might have not changed it for the better, but we fought hard to make a difference. This site is a place to tell our stories about what we have seen and what we have done. Woohoo! Welcome to Gray Hair Lady Show, and I'm Melody Papai, and I am your host, and I'm so excited about our guest that we're going to have today. She's been doing some amazing things. I mean, I have to give her a lot of credit because sometimes when you get into midlife, we get kind of homebound. We get kind of like, we can't do that. But always when we have new adventures that we're doing, it keeps us young. It keeps us young at heart. And I'm going to get right into our guest because I really don't have any bright and great announcements to make, except looking forward to having lots of more shows on interesting people from our period of time that we've grown up. So I want to introduce my guest. Ready for this? This is Sandra Mc Kenna. Thank you. Woohoo! Welcome.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
So thank you so much for being a guest on my show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Sandra is she's acquainted with my daughter, Babette Papai from Bakespace.com, and Babette speaks very highly of her. I've watched her shows. I think that she's amazing. Great sense of humor, great giggle, which is awesome. And so let's talk a little bit about, before we get into your website and what you do. It's like, this is your life. Let's talk about, where did you grow up?
I grew up in New York, and I'm sure as we get into the conversation, it'll show up more, my accents. My girlfriend, Lucille, always tells me, you go back to New York just to fine-tune it.
So New York,
New York, a coffee, water. There are certain words that I have tried. I've lived in Florida for 30 years, but I guess just growing up, it's just inside, and I have tried to get rid of my accent. So now I just embrace it.
Well, Sandra, I'm from Michigan, so I still have that with the nose sometimes. Pop. I mean, there's certain things that I say that has that Michigan flair to it, and people will say to me, "Are you from Michigan?" And I look at them like, "Are you crazy? I've been out in California since I was 29, and I'm now in my 60s, so that's a long time." It's hard to get rid of accents. So tell me, when you were growing up, how old were you during the 60s? Do you remember much of the 60s?
I do. I was in elementary school and in middle school, so yeah, I remember a lot. And I was in New York at the time, so there was a lot of different parts of history that I got to see and live. And being in New York, it was a great experience growing up.
Yeah, it had to be remarkable, especially to go during the summers when it's amazing when spring happens in New York. I mean, it comes alive.
I always think, it was the best. I look back and I think I had the best childhood ever. I really did. When I was in school, we used to go to Broadway plays as that was our field trips. And I loved it. The beaches in New York when I was a kid, they were fantastic. There was so much culture around us. My high school had a planetarium. We had a stage that was bigger than most Broadway stages in my high school. So I just loved it. I had a great time growing up in New York.
What high school did you go to in New York?
Out on Long Island. It's called Half Hollow Hills High School. East. They've added a second. They've added a west, but back in the day it was east.
Well, Babette has us hooked on watching The Princess of Long Island.
Oh yes, I've been watching myself.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
it is so funny to watch it and to listen, and the parents are just as I guess the parents are just as hysterical.
I can see some shades of that growing up. Everybody on Long Island was a princess in one way or another, all the girls in high school. So, yeah, I can relate somewhat to it. I don't think I was as shallow as they are. I hope not anyway.
Oh, it's so comical to watch. I mean, Babette last night goes, she goes, Mom, she goes, the princesses are on. She goes, you got to turn it on.
Oh,
so she's got me hooked on it. But so growing up in Long Island.
Long Island.
So during the 60s, we had an incredible experience with, hippies, and so many things happened in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember, and this is, do you remember where you were when John F. Kennedy was killed?
Yes, I do. I was in elementary school, and I remember they let us out of school.
Mm-hmm.
They closed school, and we didn't even really know. I mean, they never made an announcement. We were just, and then we heard as we were walking home, we went home, and I remember the entire weekend, and that was back in the day before we had big TVs and CNNs, and we were just glued to the TV. We had 3 stations, and we had to get up and change the channels. And I remember all weekend, I think it was a weekend, or, well, it was 3 days off, whatever it was, and we just were glued to the set. But I remember exactly, and my father coming home from work, and it was just, even now talking about it, it just makes the hair on my arm stand up. It was a traumatic time.
Yeah, it was, and then we had the Vietnam War, because that was the very first war that was really on television. And do you remember watching it, on the 3 channels?
I do, and I remember we would have parades back in the day when I grew up on 4th of July, and we would have Veterans Day parades. So we were. It wasn't something that they thought twice about doing back then. I mean, there was always celebrating the country, and I don't remember much about people coming back from Vietnam. Because it was so quiet, and I was younger at the time. I do remember I had a cousin who fought and came back, and it was very traumatic for him.
So you were really a teenager in the 70s, was that?
Oh, yeah.
So what was that like? I mean, the music changed, the rock and roll. I mean, some of the stuff going on in the clothing. I mean, what was that like to be a teenager in the 70s?
Oh, God, I loved it. And I love 70s music. To this day, I love 70s. I love disco. I love rock and roll. I love outdoor concerts. My first concert was Alice Cooper, and I was able to meet him when I got older. I became a publicist, and I worked for a venue here in Florida, and he came to do a concert, and I actually got to meet him, and he signed his album for me. But it was my first concert, and to ultimately meet him, 25 years later, that was a great experience, and he's such a nice guy.
Well, I like to sing really horrible karaoke, and I sing one of his songs, Only Women Bleed.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm probably the only woman that sings it at karaoke, and people look at me like, "Oh my God, she's singing Alice Cooper." And I sing it very poorly, but and I always make a little comment that this is really geared toward women. We only bleed. But it's really amazing that you can have people that you've admired as in high school and to be able to meet them in your adult life. So that had to be a wonderful experience for you. So, disco. Oh, let's talk disco.
My husband laughs at me. He just thinks it's hilarious that I love disco so much. I mean, I clean the house to disco, but it does. It just brings me back to such a great time. And it was a happy time. Back then, in the 70s, it was just fun. I mean, we would, and my friends and I will say, God, we were so thin back then. How come? And I would think we would go out at 10 o'clock at night and we would dance till 4 in the morning. How would we not be thin?
Well, even in Detroit, there was after-hour places. I mean, I would be out 5 nights a week, and I had a child at that time. It was horrible. Poor Babette. She had a disco maniac mother. And,
I loved it.
Yeah, and dancing all night long, and then going to the after-hours clubs.
I loved it. It was fun, but it was such an easy time, and there really, there wasn't any. Everybody just went to have a really nice time, and I miss that. I miss it. Was such a light time in my life. I mean, I'm sure that there were other things going on around the world, but I was oblivious to them at that point. But I just loved it, and getting out with my friends, and it was a fun time. And the music was great. I don't know how anybody could listen to disco music and not want to dance, unless you're my husband.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, disco was, the clothing, the shoes. The look. I mean, walking into a club and getting on the dance floor and spinning around in circles and people going, "Oh my God, they're fabulous!" Just it was an amazing time, and it was before bling. Now everything's bling. I mean, it was an amazing time to experience, and there was such. I don't know if it was in your high school, but I mean, I was already out of high school by then and had a child during disco, but I don't know if they had the rockers fighting against the rock and roll and the discos. If you had people saying, "Oh, you like disco, that's horrible."
Yeah, well, disco didn't really come in while I was in high school. It was kind of after high school, but we had in school it was like the jocks, the heads, the rockers. I mean, it was definitely everybody had their little group.
And what were you?
I kind of fit into each of them. That I've always been kind of a chameleon. So, I was going to be an equal. I wanted to try everything, so I kind of split up my time amongst all of them.
I was one of the artsy fartsy, sort of geeky, sort of crazy, not geeky, but the artsy people that would. I used to set styles like the midi coat. I was the first one to wear.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was the first to wear it all, and you'll appreciate this. I took a rug and I made a pair of pants out of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. So it was creativity. I mean, we got to see the hippie generation being born, and the protesting and all of these things in the late '60s, early '70s. So I
remember being in high school when in my school on Long Island where I grew up, and there was it was during segregation and or desegregation, and I remember the first African American kids coming to my school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We only had one in our classroom, or two in our classroom. We had a certain area, because I'm from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. That was that we only had one street that had African Americans on it, in it, and they were very popular. We all got along. We had no problems, and we were just outside of Detroit. So, but it was it has changed since then.
Now you would never even think of that. I mean, my grandkids, they have no idea some of the things that we experienced, and right, wrong, or indifference. I mean, what the times were. I mean, what happened back then.
Well, we had the riots in the '60s.
And I remember that. I remember driving through a town. There was a town called Wyandanch, which was a couple towns over from where I lived. And I remember driving through with my parents. My brother and I were little kids. We were in the back seat. And I remember them banging and hitting the car with baseball bats. And I mean, it was scary. And I remember that to this day. And they were burning things, and it was scary. And I thank God that that's all behind us, and that we were able to. Everybody got through it, and times have changed, and we've moved on. But yeah, it was a scary time.
Yeah, there was a lot of turmoils in the late '60s and the '70s, and but I think there was a beginning of change, and one of the things I talk about is the fact that in politics, a lot of the people that are, in the public office now are, you know, are our age group, and I wonder, the question and why one of the reasons I did the show was, did we make it any better for our upcoming generation?
I don't know. We experienced things that I think most generations to come aren't. They're not going to know. I remember I have a story about when I was in high school and I had a guidance counselor, and he said to me, and I laugh now because there aren't any typewriters, but he had said to me, I don't think school is for you. You're like a secretary. I think that's what's going to be best for you, is to be a secretary when you get out of high school. And where he got that from, I don't know. I mean, it was just, but it burned me so bad for all those years. I just said I will never be a secretary, and I was a secretary for a while, and I hated it. I hated going to work every day, and I thought, and he wanted me to take typing, and I said, I don't want to take typing. I don't like typing. I'm not good at typing. Oh, but you'll have to use a typewriter, and now we've got the electric typewriters in here, and I'm like, and I fought it. I failed it because I refused to give in and say that I was going to do this. Yeah. And it just, now I don't even think my grandkids know what a typewriter is.
Oh, wow. Wow, yeah, I took typing class in school, and I never forgot it, because when computers came out, I knew where to put my hands. I knew what to do, and we had a pen writer. Do you remember a pen writer? I bought my daughter a pen writer once for Christmas, and we typed on that, and it was great. But so much has changed. I mean, we did. You talked about 3 stations on your television. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you remember when FM radio became, FM radio's been around for a long time, but it never had a strong enough flow or air broadcasting to be able to do anything. And when, in the late 60s, when F&M came out, we were listening to the Doors, to Jimi Hendrix, Joplin, and some of the other stations, the AM stations, didn't play it. Do you remember the FM coming out?
I don't exactly remember it coming out. My biggest memory of music growing up was, I remember when the 8-tracks first came out, and my dad got an 8-track player, and he had one in the car.
Yes.
In the Buick LeSabre, and he had an 8-track player, and it was, we could have towed a trailer. The thing was so big, and he had all the 8-track tapes, and I remember that, and I remember listening to Hair. We had an 8-track of Hair, the soundtrack.
But your generation is the cassette player generation too. You had the boombox.
Did the
boombox come out?
I think that was a little bit after me.
Yeah, the boombox. I wanted one so bad. I said, I wanted a boombox for, I don't know what for, and I wanted a, cassette player, and then the cars came out with them, and oh my God, I had a cassette player in my car. The things that we have seen, and I remember black and white TV, which is horrible, but I do.
I do too. I remember it well, actually. And I remember getting the first color TV. When we first got our color TV, and it was like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is like so incredible. And
was it in one of those big consoles?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It had speakers on the side. It was this and you could put stuff on top of it, like frames. My dad still has it. My dad is 91 years old, and he still has it. Are your parents alive?
My mom is alive. My dad passed away a few years ago.
Oh, sorry.
And he was the one who had all of the he had all of the information about everything. He had what he had lived through, and I've been doing Ancestry.com because I want to find out where I came from. It's really, the older I get, I don't know about you, but I find it so much more important now to really find out who am I? Where did I come from? And I found out some really interesting things. My dad's grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, his name was Packy McKenna, and he invented, or they attribute to him inventing handicapping, and he traveled the world as a very successful handicapper. And I have newspaper clippings and stuff. So his parents came from Ireland, so that's where I'm going. I'm at now. I want to find out where did they come from, and I think they come from County Cork, and that's on my bucket list, is to actually go and see where everybody, all my ancestors lived and how they lived and why they came here. But it's very interesting.
How far back have you gone?
Just beyond my great-great-grandfather, so it would be my great-great-great-grandparents.
Yeah, I think it might be difficult for me to search my mother's background because my mother is dead. My dad's 91. That will be easier to search because they're from Sicily, and Sicilians, the churches keep really good records. But my great grandfather, I think it is, was an Indian chief because they hid the fact that we were half breeds, and so they hid it. So, and nobody knows. My aunts, I only have one aunt that's still alive, and nobody knows anything about it. So it's going to be very hard to go into the consensus and to find it and to see, because they were from Indian tribe up in the Bay City, Michigan. We're Canadian Indian, I guess that's what they said. We don't know, but I would love to find out. And my mother hid it. She was American Indian and French, so it'll be easier to track the French side than it will be to track the Indian side. But
it's rumored in our family there's a touch of Indian blood too. So, but I haven't got there yet.
Well, that's the cheekbones, And if you look at the eyes of American Indians in that region, I have the same shape of the eyes, that certain almond-shaped eyes. So, which is kind of interesting. But tracking it's I would love to find out. And they were doing a huge thing where you could do it like for free for a weekend, and I thought, I should go and do it. So after you've been tracking your family and your history and getting to know who you are, let's talk about, when did you get married?
Well, I was like most people in our generation, or many people, I should say. It was first time I was married. I was 18 years old.
Oh, I was 19, so I was young.
Yeah, and I was divorced by the time I was 21.
Any children at that time?
I have a daughter. She will be. She's in her late 30s, and she has 2 kids. And this year I will be married to my second husband for 20 years.
Wow, congratulations. And
thank you.
And it's so fortunate you're a grandmother. I want to be a grandmother so bad, and the people that are young watching this will probably go, ew! Just because we're above the age of 50 doesn't mean we're dead.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm a pretty wild thing, so. So did you raise in the beginning, did you raise your daughter on your own?
I did, and it was one of those situations where her father, he's not here anymore. He died, but he didn't want to be married, and I had been with him since I was 14 years old. So it wasn't like I just met somebody. The minute I saw him, I knew that I was going to marry him. He was wonderful and brilliant, but he just, we were young, and as with most things that happen young, it doesn't work out. And here I go again. I forgot what you asked me, and I went rambling.
Okay. I was asking you about raising a child on your own.
Oh, and so he. No, I worked in restaurants a lot when I was younger because it was easy way to make a lot of money. You don't make a lot of money as a secretary. And eventually just kind of phased out it and got a career. The older she got, it was easier. My parents were a huge, huge support team for me. They were always there, so that was really great. And good, bad, or indifference, whatever choices I made, whether they were, whether they agreed or didn't, they always were there to support me and pick up the pieces. And God knows, growing up in the 70s, there were a lot of pieces at times to pick up.
Well, we were pretty wild in the 70s. I mean, there was disco. No, disco. There was a lot of things going on. We also did a lot of experimental drugs.
Well, mine weren't so experimental.
We're not going to talk about that. And it's really amazing because a lot of the younger generation these days are so matter of fact about drug use.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hide it, and they're pretty open, especially here in California. And we have prescription marijuana, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it all over the place. All you need to do is get a card, and you can get it.
Yeah, how do you qualify?
You go to a doctor who is a doctor just for that, and they go, yeah, here's your prescription. Go ahead.
So you don't have to be actually sick?
I don't know.
I know when I was in Venice, they had all kinds of interesting things. That you could
I can't smoke marijuana. It makes me two things. It makes me paranoid, and it makes me go to sleep. I take a toke. We're talking about when I was a hippie, not today.
Mm-hmm.
I go to sleep. No matter where I'm at, it puts me out. And but I don't do it. I didn't do it recreational. Only during the 70s and the 60s. So but we were hippies. We did it. We did those things. So being a single mom, when did you met your husband 20 years ago, and how did you meet him?
We met at work. We worked buildings that were across from each other and a shared atrium, and he used to walk. His boss at the time had a dog, and he used to walk the dog at lunch. And really, we bonded over this dog.
I should walk my daughter's dog more.
I'm telling you, yeah. And we did. And he asked me out to lunch. And we were at lunch, and within that hour, I spilled the beans about my entire life. I have a kid, I'm this, I'm that, and just told him everything because I figured, you know what? I want to weed him out right away if he can't handle what my life is.
Yeah.
And he stuck around.
Oh, wow. And when did you move to Florida?
I moved here after my first husband left. We were living in, of all places, Texas at the time. He had been in the service. And we lived there for a couple of years, and my parents and a bunch of my relatives actually migrated to Florida from New York. So it was I live in Tampa Bay, and it was a good idea. I'm like, well, I've got nothing going for me now. I'm a single parent, and hey, I'll go. And so we all came here, and there was a bunch of family here at the time, so it worked out really well.
So what part of Florida?
Tampa.
Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm checking. If you're wondering what I'm doing, is I'm checking to make sure that everything's running fine over on this way. Because when I do behind the scenes on Bake Space, nobody sees me doing all this stuff. So, they get to see me doing it behind the scenes sort of stuff, airing properly. So I'm trying to open up the YouTube channel on my other computer. So so you're married. You got. Let's talk about the work that you've done already. You said that you were public relations.
Yes. I kind of just fell into PR. I was natural at it, and I just made a career of it.
So how long have you been doing PR?
Well, up until I did the Midlife Road Trip, so up until 5 years ago.
Huh. I'm looking to making sure that we're airing. You know how that is.
Yeah.
Give me one moment. Okay. Nope. I've got to find my own website. This is ridiculous.
Oh, I could look. I think I had it up.
Yeah, there it is. Hold on. I'm just making sure that we are airing live.
It looks like it.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. I want to double check and make sure. So, I want to talk about something that the extraordinary adventure that you're on right now, because you are on an extraordinary adventure. You have a website, and could you tell everybody about your website and how you got started in this wonderful journey. I mean, I have to admit, Sandra, I am so jealous. I'm so jealous that you. I am so jealous that you get to go to all these amazing places and do all these amazing things. So could you give the audience a little bit of background about how you got started in your website? I'm gonna let you spill the beans.
Okay, it's really a very unusual story. I met my business partner, his name is Rick Griffin, on Twitter. He lives in Atlanta. He's married to Denise. They've been married, I think this year it's been 29 years. And so we always tell everybody we've been married 49 years to other people.
Oh, wow.
And so we met on Twitter, a conversation. We had, a core group 5 years ago on Twitter before, all the celebrities and all the Twitter chats. And it was just a conversation. And we were all talking about what we were passionate about, and both he and I loved video production. He owns a video production company, and we decided, we want to shoot this. He had a life-threatening illness, and I just wanted to do it. I always just wanted to get out there and meet people. He wanted to do things like skydive and, drive fast cars and do all this crazy stuff, and I just wanted to go meet people. So he flew down. We shot what was a pilot episode of Midlife Road Trip, and we just put it out there to see what people would think, and they liked it. And so that was all. That was all we needed to know, is that we put something out there and people liked it, and we just kept going and refining what we were doing, and we would tweak it here, tweak it there, and then offers started coming in, and people would say, come see where, we want to show you this, or we want to show you that. And we won we were one of 5 finalists in the Best of the Road competition last year for USA Today and Rand McNally.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's fabulous.
So we've gotten to see a lot of the world.
So what has been your favorite trip?
Gosh, it's like kids. There's something terrific about each of them. I've done an Italy trip that was amazing. Another trip, and this is where I met Babette, was at Rancho La Porta in Mexico. And that was a life-changing trip for me, because it was a bunch of women that were just so brilliant, and they were the ones that said to me, go for it. You can do it. Go for it. I came back from that trip, and I was a changed person. And that really, and Rick had been on a different trip. He was on a trip to Alaska and he met a core group of guys during that trip. And so it's like we both came back from these amazing trips separately and said, with these great ideas, and then we implemented them and we moved forward. And that's really how we got started.
Wow. Yeah, because it's really fun watching. I mean, I'm going to show a video, and I think I'm going to show it right now, if I can bring it up. So normally I have people doing this for me, and I have to be doing this, so I'm going to be sticking the camera on so I can control it. And I'm going to be clicking on me, so it's going to be controlled on me. I'm telling you guys how to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to show this video. And I got the biggest kick out of it. I was laughing so hard when I saw this. I thought this was hysterical. So, and then, so set this up. So this is, where were you at?
Orange County. And we went out to, Rick had tried surfing, and part of the premise of what our show is getting out of your comfort zone, trying something that you always thought you always wanted to do. So one of the things that I always wanted to do, I love trying everything. If I'm on the ground and I don't have to, risk life and limb, although when you see this video, you'll realize I was risking life and limb. And but it was getting out there and trying something that I always wanted to do, and I always wanted to dance. But
you hopped. I can't hop. You hopped. I saw you do it.
It was fun, and that's the other thing. It's we ego aside, the only time I ever feel old is when I look in the mirror. If I don't look in the mirror, I don't feel like I'm 57. I'm going to be 57 years old. I just don't. I feel really good, and I feel like I can try or conquer anything, and that's what we're going at. We go out and we do is just because you're a baby boomer or you're in your 50s or your 60s, it doesn't mean that you have to sit on the couch. It doesn't mean, you know, you've got the remote control and a TV tray in front of you. We're not our parents. You know, I remember my grandmother, she was always old, always, from when I was a little kid. So I don't think that our generation is that. So the video that you're going to show is, it's me getting out of my comfort zone, trying something I always wanted to, and it's in Orange County and with some professional dancers.
It's amazing. It's a lot of fun to watch. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put it on right now. So bear with me, everybody. Here we go, is the YouTube. Bam! Now we're going to start.
Today, the Midlife Road Trip is in Anaheim, and we're going backstage at Battle of the Dance, where we're going to learn a step or two.
So Battle of the Dance is basically, it culminates in a battle between the Irish dancing and the Spanish dancing. So the whole show showcases all the different aspects of each type of dance. The main premise of the dance is the similarities, really, of the Irish and the flamenco dancing, and us coming together in the end, dancing for each other and seeing how the two styles really are very similar.
So what's going to happen today? What are we going to do?
Well, we're going to attempt to teach you a little Irish dancing, a little flamenco, and see if you're ready for the show. Okay. Yeah. You're supposed to end when I end. Trouble, 1, 2, trouble, hop back.
I'm missing the hop back.
I see that, yeah. Yeah.
I think I've got it.
I think you're ready. Are you ready to try it with the 2 leads?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we're just doing that step that I know so well?
Yeah. And just,
okay.
Just finish when they finish and you'll be fine.
Okay.
Just keep going. 5, 6, 7, 8. Arms down. That was an amazing job. Now you're going to learn the Spanish portion of the show with Paco. He's from Spain. Now faster.
It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're right in sync.
It's perfectly in sync.
Yeah. You know, I think I have a second career on Broadway.
Okay, just one more thing. It's easy.
Okay.
Just do that first.
Okay.
Ta-da!
So, Miley, what do we do for an encore?
Okay, well, I'm going to teach it to you. I think you can handle this. Ready? You put your left hand in, you take your left hand down. You put your left hand in, and you shake it all about. Turn around in a circle, da-da-da-da-da-da, and that's what it's all about.
Okay, so what was it like dancing with Sandy? I guess you got a chance of making it on your dance trip?
It was an incredibly interesting experience. I think that she's really right there in line for the lead spot.
I want to bring her to Spain.
A little nervous. Her and Kyle had some real chemistry.
Yeah, we did.
She's totally taking care of the job.
Excellent!
They were good sports. They were really good sports.
How did I could not have jumped up like you did. I could not have done that. I mean, I could not have relaxed enough to allow myself to jump up on that cute kid.
Oh, believe you me, you know, I was like sweating just in fear that I would knock him over and take him to the ground. But they were really, really good sports. And that's the thing we find no matter where we go, everybody is really great sports, and they, you know, they get what we're doing, and, you know, we're about the lighter side of life. You know, we don't take ourselves too seriously anymore.
But you also, you do a lot of food tasting. All of
Yes.
Food tasting. I mean, what has been some of your favorite foods, and what has been some of your unique tasting foods?
Oh gosh, let's see. Vegas has some amazing. That was, I think, my biggest surprise in all the years we've been doing this is how many great restaurants are in Las Vegas. I just never expected it the first time I ever went to Vegas that we were going to find such great food consistently.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've had some of our best meals. I mean, we still talk about the gnocchi with truffle and lobster, you know. And we'll go back to a place in our head based on the meals we ate there. So Vegas has some great meals. Sonoma, the farm-to-table fair when we were up in wine country. Oh, that was fantastic. Italy, oh, my God. I had some of my best meals there. Unusual? I don't know. Street food, I guess wherever we go is you always find something a little unusual. Here in Tampa, one of my favorites is the taco bus.
Wow.
So,
you know Jeff.
I do very well. Actually, I had lunch with him the other day.
I love him. He has the most wackiest, wittiest sense of humor. His mind, if he's not on the show on Kitchen Party, I want to cry because so sometimes he can't. He's got other things that he has to do for the Tampa Tribune newspaper. Because he's one of the food writers for Tampa Tribune, and when he's not on, it makes me so sad because he is so funny.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was just thinking of him today. He did a rap song. He made a rap song. We had a mistake. The camera for one of our hosts that's no longer on the show was acting funny, and Jeff just started doing this rap song. He's amazing. He's just
he's brilliant.
Yeah,
he really is.
I love that guy. I love that guy. So you have this list. You have this list on
the bucket list.
Yeah, and it's huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason it's huge is because we have a rule. Mm-hmm. Every time we check something off, we have to add at least one thing on. Uh-huh.
Oh, so the ones that have the checks are the things that you've done.
Yes.
Okay.
We actually have to update it. That we've done some more that we haven't checked off yet, but every time we keep adding. People will send us their ideas. Oh, you should try this or you should try that. I'm getting in a few weeks in August. I'm going to go to Alaska for the first time. That's been on my bucket list.
Oh wow! I'm going to see if I can put this up on the screen. Okay, so just give me. I want to put your bucket list. It's gonna be a black screen. I'm gonna put the camera. I'm gonna put the camera on you right now while I'm doing this. So the camera is on you, and I'm gonna bring you up. I want to get your bucket list out there. I think that this might be absolutely fun for people to do.
To see. Everybody should have a list, whether you call it a bucket list, a leap list, a wish list. You should have a list of what it is that you want to do, and you shouldn't miss a thing. I mean, it's so exciting to be able to get out there and actually do these things, and we write them down because in midlife we forget everything. So if we don't write down what we want to do, we may never do it because we'll forget it.
Well, I think a bucket list is great, and I think you need to add something on your bucket list.
What would that be?
When we have the new studio open, I think that you guys need to make a trip to LA and come and be in the live studio.
Oh, we love to do that. We love LA.
Well, here it's okay. I don't know if they can see this, but I can see it. It says action. So what does action mean?
Action means that's like Rick jumping out of an airplane. Probably my action would be me dancing with professional dancers. That's as daring as I probably will ever get. We drove NASCAR. That was one of the action items we did in Talladega. So I drove 144 miles an hour, which for me was huge. I didn't want to do it, but they made me, and I have no regrets. I think it was a fun time. So a lot of it's getting out of your comfort zone, trying it.
Well, I notice you have parasailing. I'm going to circle it here. You have parasailing.
Yeah, so, that would be Rick.
oh, wait a minute.
It's amazing that I do anything because I'm afraid to fly.
Uh-huh.
I hate to fly. We travel all over the world, but I'm afraid to fly. So it's for me just taking a trip in itself. There was a time in my life for a few months I literally never left the house. I never left the house. I to go to the grocery store, I would have been paralyzed. So I couldn't drive over bridges. I was afraid of everything. So for me, just doing this is amazing. I mean, when you're one of those people who doesn't leave the house, I mean, and you know what got me out of the house after months of not leaving the house? I was dying for a chocolate cream pie. I was with my parents. I was at my parents, and I said, Dad, would you go to the store and get me a pie? And he said, if you want a pie that bad, go to the store. And I went to the store and I got a chocolate cream pie. And that changed my life, and it got me out of whatever it was that caused me to not leave the house. I guess I was just stressed out. I don't know.
Were you running your office and working out of your house with you?
Yeah. You know, it was. I guess it just kind of melted down and just.
And look what you're doing now. I mean, it is amazing. It is amazing. I mean, there's checks on these things. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go back to that, but I wanted to tell you the secret about parasailing, because I did it.
Oh, you're something.
Oh, I'll tell you something. Well, I did it when I was in my 40s, not in my 60s. But my friend, we went down to Mexico. She ended up in the water. She ended up going in the water because she didn't know what to do. And when she came out, she said she didn't have enough strength to pull the string down or the rope down that you're supposed to pull down to bring it down. And so when I got up there, in fact, I hated it up there. I hated it. I'm a very controlling person, and I could not control anything up there. Mm-hmm. That is a place to let go of any controlling. So when they let me know when it was time for me to pull, scared as heck, I took both hands and I pulled it down. And I made a perfect landing. But I trusted the fact that I was secure in their little seat thing to put you in, and I was terrified to come down, terrified. But I got over that fear because I really think that I try to get over a fear every year of something. Mm-hmm. I think that it betters us, and I think it's one of the things that we learn about what you do is that we see you do things, you like the dancing. I mean, you tackle your fears, and I love that you have this bucket list. I think that this bucket list is amazing. I mean, we go down, and there's so many different things that you guys, climb a mountain, ice fishing, ride an elephant, ride a camel, sail from Maine to Miami, ride a fighter jet. I mean, these are pretty amazing. And now the nature things. I mean, an active volcano. I mean, these things go on and on.
Yeah, we just keep adding and adding and adding.
Well, you have there's Prague. Mm-hmm. Who went to Prague?
Rick went to Prague.
And London?
We've both been to London.
Alaska?
Rick's been to Alaska, and I will, in August, have my first trip to Alaska.
Meeting various celebrities.
We've met a lot. We've been really lucky, very serendipitous. But the one thing, and this was Rick's idea, but I am clinging to hope that we'll get to do this, is to tug on Carol Burnett's ear.
And look what I brought up.
I know, right? So, yeah, that would be really that would be a dream come true for us because we grew up watching her, and it just would be the ultimate bucket list item if we could ever do that.
Well, what's really amazing is because I live in Los Angeles, and we have celebrities all over the place. I mean, the people that I've met. I mean, I was telling my friend I was standing in an alley, and I saw this woman walking with shoes. And I looked at the shoes, and I go, beautiful shoes. I mean, in the alley. And I looked up, and the woman, just as I looked up, the woman said, thank you. And I recognized the voice. And it was Julie Andrews.
Oh.
And she was walking in the alley. I mean, I've met Donald Sutherland. I used to work in a hair salon in Beverly Hills, so we got all of these celebrities. I mean, and he is an amazing man. He is the kindest man I've ever met. So I mean, and I've met some that weren't so kind. But
Yeah.
meeting celebrities is kind of you're my celebrity now because I want to meet you.
So when I was a publicist, I got to meet them all the time. So that was, I fulfilled a lot of my bucket list items back then.
Yeah.
As far as meeting people I had admired or wanted to meet over the years.
Well, you got to meet Alice Cooper.
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, Carole King. And James Taylor. They did a concert together. I was doing the PR, and I got to sit on stage during sound check, and he, with her at the piano playing. I mean, that for somebody growing up in the 60s and 70s is that's huge.
Yeah.
So that was really a great experience.
Yeah, we're from Detroit. We had a lot of people that was into music. We had a place called the Grandy Ballroom, which was it's where I saw Joe Cocker, and we were pretty stoned. My ex-husband and I, and we were like, "Oh man, I think he's like floating off the stage."
Oh boy,
it was hysterical. So what's your next trip?
We fly to Barcelona mid of July, and we're going to go to Italy. We're going to go to Croatia. We're going to France. So that's our. Oh, and I'm going to New York for a couple of days. So that's all during the month of July.
You're not going to go to Albania?
No, actually, but it's so funny. I just met somebody the other day who was telling me all about Albania and said it's an amazing treasure, and she was telling me about some different places in Albania I should go.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of it, Babette is half Albanian. My ex-husband was Albanian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got all of his property back when the communists, fell and when they became a free country, and so he's got all this lakefront property. So if anyone has lots of money, they want to build a casino on there, that's the place to do it. The Riviera of Europe right now. It's going to be the Riviera of Europe, but
yeah, they say it's amazing.
Yeah, he didn't speak any English when I met him.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's quite a character. We're still best friends. So.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, we were only together to have Babette. So
that's a perfect reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Babette's been to Yugoslavia, so she's been to I forgot what city, but she's been to Yugoslavia. So it's a pretty interesting place to go. So, but people want to retire to do this. I mean, this is now your job. This is now your career. I mean, you have the best career in the world. I mean, you get to go and go to wonderful places, and you get to eat fabulous food and meet wonderful, interesting people. And what have you learned from this?
Gosh, learn to breathe, to just to let it go. Just not to look in the mirror and worry about what I'm looking like the moment, and just to take it all in, not to stress out about it, to just enjoy it and to remember it, to capture the memories. We take a lot of pictures. Sometimes we get so crazy, when you're creating an episode, and we get which we love. We love doing the video, and we love the work part of it. But sometimes it's, we have to stop and say, you know what, let's just take a breath. Let's take a minute and let's enjoy this. And that we learned that last year on the road trip. 7,200 miles, 5 weeks, Rick and I in a car, going cross country in search of the most patriotic small towns in America. And that was really a life change. That's when we learned. We met so many heroes. It was absolutely amazing. But we learned, you know what? We have to make the most of every moment. Not every step of every trip is going to be perfect, but you have to find the good in everybody and in every situation. And that's really what this has taught us to do.
So tell me about the worst trip you've ever taken, the two of you together.
Oh gosh, well, it would be where we've had multiple delays. You know, things that are out of our control. I think that's always the worst when you're traveling, is delays. We were going out to Utah several years ago. It's where I learned to ski. I was 55, the year I was 55, and I said I want to ski this year. So
55?
55, yeah. It wasn't easy, but we were going out to Utah. We would ski Utah, and it was the day we were leaving. There was this horrendous. I left from Tampa. I got to Utah fine. Rick was leaving from Atlanta. There was an ice storm. He was trapped in the airport for 36 hours. They were running out of food. He finally gets to Utah, and they lose his luggage.
Oh my God!
And his bag arrived the night before we were leaving. So, but he was such a sport, and he never complained. And I think if it was the other way, I'd probably not been as happy as he was. You know, he's just so good, and I learn a lot from him in that respect because I'm a little more high maintenance. You know, he's happy camping. I'm a Four Seasons kind of gal, so we try to meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, give me Four Seasons. Yeah. Give me a nice hotel.
Yeah, I think it's a rite of passage when you hit your 50s, you know?
So give me some advice for someone that is younger. Some advice that you would give maybe to your grandchildren or to your daughter, or, you know, something that you would say that would kind of help them in their journey. And I find it very interesting that, you know, you didn't leave the house and that sort of thing. That's I think a lot of people that are getting in a more mature age have a tendency to do that. They stop living.
I was actually young when I was in my early 30s, late 20s, I think, or early 30s back then. Yeah. So so I don't know about it's. Once I got older, I got more comfortable with myself and just said, you know, I am what I am. I come with baggage. I'm, you know, I can't change it now. It's too late. This is who I am. And so long as I'm kind, or in anybody's instance, I tell the kids, be kind. Be kind to each other. Love each other. Love your family because they're there to pick you up. But you have to be kind. Everything is rooted in kindness. No matter what, you just, you know, there's too much hate going on. So my advice to everybody is be as kind as you can, and good things will follow. And dream big. If you're going to dream, dream big.
I like that, to dream big. I think dreams are really important. They're important for, doesn't matter what age, you always have to have a dream. You always, and keeping busy, and I think learning new things. And you're experiencing new things, and I think that is the key to your youth, because you're experiencing new places to go, new things to do. I mean, I told you I'm jealous.
Oh, you should have. You just do it. You do it.
Oh,
anybody can do it.
I'm talking about, you know, going to visit. I have friends all over the country. I mean, all over the country. And I could be gone for a year and never hit all of my friends from all over the country. And I've been thinking about doing it. I'm not sure. You know, we're talking. But any regrets?
That I didn't do it sooner. I mean, that I just, you know, that I was so cautious for so many years that I, you know, was afraid to do so many things. And I think that, you know, I just wished I would have, you know, not waited until but I'm glad I'm doing it now, because I think everything happens when it's supposed to happen, and everything happens for a reason. So if you use all the, you know, the good, the bad, every experience you've had to, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, just it culminates, and that's where I'm at now. You know, that's the only regret, is that I didn't do what I'm doing sooner.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. I don't want to. It's like we're running late. I don't want to run late because I'm really enjoying this.
Oh, thank you so much.
I would love to have you back on.
Oh, and next time you have to bring Rick. He has some stories. You know, he's a great storyteller.
Well, we can have the both of you guys on in separate locations because I really like the way that we've been doing the Google Hangouts, Google Hangouts Live. I think it's made it really different. I mean, I can't wait till we get our studio space, and then if you and Rick come out to Los Angeles to do some, more adventures, then you can come to the live studio also.
Oh, it's on the bucket list.
Oh, good. Good. It'll be like we'll have to have you on, either my show or on Kitchen Party, and have him on Storytelling Live, and where he can tell some of his stories, because stories
that'd be great.
are so important. But you have been an inspiration for
Thank you so much.
Anyone that is above the 50 years old. It has been a pleasure to have you on, and I didn't even open up the phone lines because I got selfish, and and so I didn't open them up. I was like, no, I want to know more. So you've been watching, Sandra. I'm glad you come back on the show, and thank you for being such a great sport and saying yes, yes to Gray Hair Lady, and coming on and being a fabulous guest. Thank you so much, and you guys. All have been, I'm going to turn on my camera, which I normally don't say these things, and I'm going to put my thing on. So I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you for coming on the Gray Hair Lady Show. And if you've missed any part of this, it is being archived as we speak on YouTube and on grayhairlady.com. And it's been a pleasure. And take a little advice from Sandra. Get out there, do things, manifest your life, and enjoy it. And don't be fearful. And sometimes it's good to act like a kid, and she does. I see her. She's so delightful. She is so delightful. She is so cute. I hate to say that word cute, but she is so cute. It doesn't matter what she does. She has a lot of fun doing it. But you've been watching the Gray Hair Lady Show on grayhairlady.com. Thank you.